then there was the other one indicated from the Committee of Delegated Legislation. What do they want to say? The chair and the vice chair are both absent, not desiring to be present. The Honorable Kamket, the Honorable Nyagagwa, both chair and vice chair have taken leave. Before we go to the next one, allow me to make even that one who is walking like a rolling buffalo. No, don't sit down. You want to go quick? Yeah, you know here. So, honourable members, allow me to make this communication, which is on inaccurate reports on division with respect to the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. Honourable members, as you may recall, on Thursday, 6th of May 2021, the House upon a question for second reading of the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020, promoted by the Building Bridges Initiative, the House proceeded to a roll call vote. At the end of the vote, I did declare the results as follows: ayes 235, nays 83, abstentions 2. Total members voting 320. Honourable members, you may also recall that for the first time, and in furtherance for the provisions of Part 28A of Standing Orders, Conduct of Proceedings in Exceptional Circumstances, I permitted members who could not attend the sitting physically to vote virtually. As well observed, it was evident that our staff faced some challenges with regard to recording of some votes that were cast virtually, especially where the voice of the members present virtually was not clearly audible. The slight challenge was likely to affect the correctness of the results as declared then. In this regard, honourable members, and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 75 regarding correction of errors following a vote, I wish to report to the House that upon further verification of the actual video recording of members who voted virtually, it was determined as follows. 1. The member for Trans Nzoia County, the Honourable Janet Nangabo, who was initially counted as having voted yes, did not actually participate in the virtual voting. 2. There were further errors in tallying the total votes for the nays, which resulted in a variation of 2 votes. Honourable members, the errors which affected the results declared with respect to the ayes and nays votes have since been brought to my attention by the Clerk of the National Assembly. I hasten to affirm that, as your Speaker, it is my duty to ensure that the records of the House are correctly and accurately captured and reported at all times. I therefore wish to announce that the correct tally after confirmation of the vote in question was as follows. The ayes 234 and not 235. The nays 81 and not 83. Abstentions 2. Total votes cast 317. Honourable members, allow me to take this opportunity to also speak to the conduct of members taking part in the virtual sittings of the House. When the House amended the standing orders to provide for virtual participation, the intention of the House was to ensure that no member desirous of partaking proceedings of the House on any matter is excluded on account of not being physically present in the House. Indeed, Part 28A of the standing orders is explicitly clear on virtual proceedings. I wish to remind honorable members that the August House is a house of rules and that every member has a duty to observe the rules of procedure and decorum. Suffice to say that the role of a legislator is hallowed, and therefore it ought not to be exercised in multiplicity with third parties at any one time. In this regard, I wish to caution the member for South Mugirango, the Honorable Silvanus Osoro, MP, who abused the privilege of participating factually by voting in the company of a crowd. This conduct was not in keeping with the decorum of the House. While I permitted the clerk to record his votes, let it be clear to the House that neither such manner of voting nor the conduct of the Honorable Osoro shall be permitted in subsequent virtual proceedings. In view of the foregoing, honourable members, and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 75, I directed the clerk to make the necessary corrections to the records of the House to reflect the corrections I have made. The House is accordingly thus informed. Thank you very much. Is that the member for Kipisen?
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to raise a matter which is related to your communication. And is a matter of great concern to me. Before I do that, Honorable Speaker, let me thank you for putting the records straight. I know you are at liberty not to change those figures, but because this is a house of records, Honorable Speaker, you've done the right thing to make sure that the records are straight. But related to that, Honorable Speaker, even as you announced those numbers, the 235 for the yes and the 83 for the no, Honorable Speaker, honorable members of this House, there is an honorable member of this House who was at the same time tweeting saying that members have been bribed with 100,000 shillings. This is public knowledge, Honorable Speaker. It is in the social media. It is being aired in the FM stations, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, members of this House are all honorable members. They have been elected by Kenyans. That means, Honorable Speaker, every member has an equal chance of saying yes or no. The truth of the matter, Honorable Speaker, is this particular honorable member, who I will be naming Honorable Speaker, was saying that honorable members who voted to that yes, the 235 members who voted yes, Honorable Speaker, could only do that after being given 100,000 shillings, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I think this is very wrong, coming from an honorable member, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, it is on the same note, Honorable Speaker, that members of this House, in this House you have ranking members who have been elected 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, and we have members who are here for the first time. Honorable Speaker, there is a casual way of doing things in this House which I don't think it will be good for this House. In the same day, Honorable Speaker, when we were conducting debates, some members casually even went and called members here cowards, sellouts in this House, Honorable Speaker. It is all over in this country. You see clips. And Honorable Speaker, you ask yourself, as a representative of the people, how can an honorable member in this House, in this floor of this House, Honorable Speaker, call another one a sellout? I was elected, that particular member was elected. I don't know to what extent, or what do they get that courage to call other members cowards, sellouts? I think, Honorable Speaker, as the leader of this House, we need your intervention to make sure that, Honorable Speaker, we remain honorable members in this House. It is on that note, Honorable Speaker, I stand on Standing Order number 108. And I want to invite you, Honorable Speaker, to name Honorable Moses Kuria for grossly disorderly conduct in this House. Honorable Speaker, I submit my case. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, that is a weighty matter. Honourable Sankok, you want to weigh in?
Honourable Speaker, it was shameful and uncalled for, especially that because I voted yes and I belong to a political persuasion where the honourable member who claimed that we receive 100,000. And Honourable Speaker, I voted with my conscience. And I did vote yes, and I will still vote yes if it was reintroduced today. Not because of bribes. And I don't think any member in this House was offered 100,000 to vote in any way, Honourable Speaker. So, Honourable Speaker, as the leader of this House, I call upon you to protect the integrity of this House. And Honourable Speaker, we need to punish such wayward characters who, Honourable Speaker, are out to taint the name of this Honourable House, Honourable Speaker. There is no way all these members can be elected and just come here and vote for a constitutional amendment bill based on maybe being bribed. I'm 100% sure that no member here that can even be bribed by any countable amount of money, Honourable Speaker, cash, Honourable Speaker, to vote on such a very important weighty issue, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, when I saw that tweet, I had just voted, Honourable Speaker. And if it was not because of the respect that I had for you, I will have used my crutches, Honourable Speaker, as weapons of mass destruction, Honourable Speaker. Because it was really very pathetic. Because already it was on social media while we were still here in this House, Honourable Speaker. So I beg, Honourable Speaker, that to give direction, Honourable Speaker, let honourable members who behave dishonorably be punished in this House, Honourable Speaker. Thank you.
Honourable Amalo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this is a House of Records. I remember in the last Parliament, a similar incident happened. Mr. Speaker, I was on Citizen TV on Monday, and we were discussing matters of BBI referendum. And we were with Honorable Bodan Kainan. And I was so surprised. Honorable Kolebu Koistani, the MP for Soi, he came out clearly that members were moving around with money to bribe people, and he was approached. And because he was on the national TV, we wanted him to substantiate. And we gave him a caution that this might land you in the Committee of Privilege, because such matters are not allowed, and as per our standing orders. And he was very confident, Mr. Speaker. So it was not just the issue of Honorable Kuria alone. Honorable Koistan has been on record. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro have been on record. Maybe they are not aware of the standing orders. And it's your responsibility, Mr. Speaker, to maintain the dignity of this House. Maybe they said it out of ignorance. And if they cannot substantiate, Mr. Speaker, our standing orders are very clear. They should be put on defense. And if not, because a precedent had been set, they should be named, Mr. Speaker. I thank you. The dignity of this House must be maintained. We are elected by the people, and we must have respect for each other. This is a house of debate, and this is a house of voting. I thank you.
Honorable Leader of Majority.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I was very disturbed when I saw the tweet that was circulating as we were voting here. And just for the record, this tweet had the following wording, which is the import of what I'm saying. MPs voting yes, currently receiving their 100K from the office of a senior parliamentary leader. Honorable Speaker, you are the leader of this House. So, we know you are seated here with us. I was seated here. Honorable Barry was seated here. Honorable, my whip was here, deputy whip was here, and, Junet was here. So, by implicating, for the common man out there, they know the leader of the House is the Speaker. So these people have not only brought the leadership of the House into disrepute, but have actually made some very serious insinuations that bring dishonor to the office of the Speaker of this House. If the chap had been very clear that they were receiving from the whip, then we'll be dealing with the whip. But by actually saying senior parliamentary leader, there's only one senior in this House, and that is yourself, Honorable Speaker. So these people require to be disciplined so that at least we have some decorum in this House. And that this looseness and trying to get some political mileage out there, cheap political mileage, against the leadership of this House and honorable members ought to be stopped. I also had the member for Ndia, the Honorable GK Kariuki, addressing his constituents and trying to justify why he voted no, because he could not join the people who are being bribed. So again, it's the kind of thing that we are actually being told. Kenyans are looking at us that the only reason we voted yes is because we were bribed. And yet, members were committed. They stayed here until midnight. And nobody was ever approached. Nobody was induced. And indeed, allegations are that the inducements were more to say no than to say yes. But that's unfounded. We don't know. But in terms of the people actually putting it on record and sending it onto the whole world, because these tweets are global, they're accessible. It's only just not bringing disrepute within Kenya, but internationally. That the Parliament of Kenya is a parliament where, for members of Parliament to vote in a certain direction, they go for inducements in the office of the senior leader of the House. That is as serious as it can get, and we need to take serious action commensurate with the offense. Mr. Speaker, I support that the Honorable Kuria should be named, and all those who have ridden on his coattails should follow in the same coattails as they exit the House.
Honorable John Bandi. But honour members also, I can say it's the thrust is to go by standing order number 108. So again, it is up to you to use it. Honorable Bandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's quite unfortunate that a historical moment like that of Thursday, last week, where in a long period of time, Mr. Speaker, this House managed to vote on a particular matter at over 2/3 majority, a feat that defeated us in the 10th Parliament when we wanted to set up a local tribunal to try cases of the post-election violence cases. Even when His Excellency the President, Mwai Kibaki, then sat in the House together with his deputy and the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Ministers, all cabinet ministers were present, but Mr. Speaker, we still failed to get 2/3 majority. Mr. Speaker, we have tried several times to have 2/3 majority to pass the 2/3 gender principle with no success, Mr. Speaker. For the first time, the history was made in this House that this House passed the Building Bridges Initiative Bill or the Constitutional Amendment 2020 Bill with overwhelming majority. 234 members, Mr. Speaker. Remember, we require 233 as the 2/3 majority, but 234, even with the 2 positions vacant, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a time that this country should have celebrated unity of purpose and cohesion in terms of pushing forward an agenda for this country. But now one of us, Mr. Speaker, who, for whatever reason, Mr. Speaker, and is serving his 2nd term in this House, decides to exercise immaturity by behaving disorderly in this house. Mr. Speaker, I request you to find that the disorderly conduct was conducted in this house in accordance with the Standing Order number 108, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we should not let this continue, because I don't know whether these members who make unsubstantiated claims have understood why this house is called August House, Mr. Speaker. We are demeaning the dignity of this house. We have put it to its lowest. And Mr. Speaker, a number of times we make unsubstantiated claims in this house about our colleagues, and then we are let to go scot-free. Mr. Speaker, I think for the first time, I want to plead with you to find the member to be disorderly and name him, and then I would request another member to move a motion so that this house can make a resolution to have this member suspended from the house as a first offense of this nature. Moses Kuria, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot tolerate this. And the Honorable Kimunya actually said, you are the leader. No. I think all of us in leadership stand indicted, because he said a senior leader in the House. Mr. Speaker, you are there, the leader of majority and myself, and the entire leadership from both sides, Mr. Speaker. We sat here. How could inducement cause even members who are out of the country, like Simbarati, to vote from China, Mr. Speaker? I think we should not joke with serious matters, Mr. Speaker. If you have lost, or your side has lost, or whatever it is, that is the spirit of democracy. I have been in this house and I've lost so many votes here, Mr. Speaker. From 2008, there are so many votes we have lost here. Some we have even fought physically after losing, Mr. Speaker. But you cannot scandalize your colleagues for no reason. In fact, when we were taking the vote, Mr. Speaker, another person from the media house called me that members were being intimidated, they were being induced. Mr. Speaker, you cannot intimidate a member. You can issue a party position on a matter. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this as I sit down, that if parties cannot take a position on a constitutional amendment, Mr. Speaker, then what then can a party take a position on? The most important, the critical decision a country would make is to amend the Constitution, to change the etiquette, and to change the contract between the governed and the governors. So, Mr. Speaker, that is the time that you cannot claim independence of mind when you are actually dealing with a constitutional amendment. Either you follow what your constituents want, which overrides everything else, or two, you can vote because your party has whipped you a particular way. But talking of inducement, Mr. Speaker, is in bad taste. So as I want to stop there, Mr. Speaker, and ask that this member be named, and then we follow it through procedurally. If we could have another member ready to move this motion, and we vote on it, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Undo. Honorable Speaker, let me also join in my colleagues in condemning cowardly statement made by our colleagues on the floor of the House. Honorable Speaker, in democracy, the majority have their way, the minority have their say. In democracy, you must accept not all your position will be taken, others will lose, others will win. Honorable Speaker, members who sit in this committee, in this House, even before they came to this House, held very respectable positions wherever they were, held very responsible positions, and it is unacceptable for anybody to insinuate that they can be bribed to pass such a critical constitutional amendment. Honorable Speaker, even if you look at the voting pattern, it transcended political affiliations. They are die-hard Tanga members who voted for the BBI simply because it's the best thing that has ever happened for this country. Honorable Speaker, our colleague's statement was even picked on Facebook, and you can imagine the wide reach of Facebook on the ordinary people of Kenya. We were actually humiliated. Many of us went to the constituency. Everywhere we were being asked, let us share the 100,000 each one of you were getting at late night on Thursday. Honorable Speaker, I want to urge our colleagues, we will lose, but we should not be bad losers. When we lose, Let's accept reality and move on and wait to fight another day. Honorable Speaker, I wholly support my colleagues that we must put this bad habit to an end at one time or another. Disparaging your colleagues, holding us colleagues in bad repute will not take us anywhere, will diminish the exalted position this House in the society of people of Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ajala, that is also, you cannot walk here as if you are in Budalangi, shouting. The member for Funyula is also on his feet. I mean, it looks like the Honorable Ajala has gotten tired of being in Parliament. I think because you can't walk in here as if you are in a fish market. I mean, surely. Honorable Kwenya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to weigh in on this weighty matter that is before this House. I must start by condemning the conduct of our colleagues. Indeed, I was so ashamed that one of the members could utter the words that he uttered on the floor of the House as to the effect on the way we were voting, to the extent of calling colleagues sellouts. That was the lowest that this House could get, being a House of honor, whereby we've been bestowed upon us responsibility to legislate on behalf of the people of Kenya. And I believe every member who is in this House saw to consciously and conscientiously do what they are supposed to do without any form of influence. We've been in this House, and indeed all of us know that as much as we represent people, we spend a lot of our money and our resources to support our members, the people who voted for us. And therefore, someone trying to insinuate that members were queuing in a certain office in this parliament to get handouts so that they could vote in a certain way, that was the height of disrespect of this House. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, in accordance with the Standing Order number 108 that we are following Q, I call upon you, Mr. Speaker, to name the said members, and in the same order, maybe have a member from this House who is going to follow through and call for a motion so that then we can take a vote as to the steps that such members should be caused to suffer for such an unbecoming behavior. I support what has been brought before this floor by the Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, so that then we can take a step as a House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Honorable Soti.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Also join my colleagues to say this is a House of honor and this is a House of honorable members. So I think it's not right for a few of us to come on this in this House and make allegations which they cannot substantiate. And in the same light that Honorable Makali has called upon the House to name the Honorable Moses Kuria, I also would wish Honorable Member for Kiharu, Ndindi Nyoro, to also be named, because he stood up in this House and called us sellouts, he called us cowards, and he called us traitors. I think this is more serious than even what Honorable Moses Kuria would have written. And Mr. Speaker, this tendency of members making allegations on bribery is on the increase, and it looks like even witnesses who are appearing before our various committees are taking sue from that and making allegations against members of committees that they have received bribes, they have received houses, they have received vehicles. I think, Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter because it touches on the contempt of Parliament, which I think the Committee of Powers and Privilege should take it up and come up with very serious recommendation on how this matter will be dealt once and for all, particularly for the witnesses who appear before our committee when they realize that the evidence before the committee is overwhelming. Now, the easiest way for them to do is to come up with the allegation that members of the committee have been bribed. I have a case in point, a committee where I'm the vice chair, Mr. Speaker, where we deal with matters to do with implementation. One of the witnesses, realizing that the evidence before us is very overwhelming, decided to go and write a letter to you, Mr. Speaker, saying that members of our committee had received houses from the other party. Mr. Speaker, when the leadership of the committee wrote to this witness, the witness decided to go on a fishing expedition for evidence. And the committee has decided that the Powers and Privilege Committee takes up the matter. Because this is a very serious issue, Mr. Speaker, and it starts from here. When members make allegations, then people outside also copy what members do here, and they want to say the same thing so that our functions within the committee are derailed. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter, and I wish the Powers and Privilege Committee take stern action against the people involved so that we protect the integrity and the honor of this House, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Jude Jomo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my language, we say that the devil becomes notorious because, or when you keep slaughtering for the devil. Mr. Speaker, that is a saying in Kikuyu. This is not the first time that the said member has done or has written offending messages on Twitter. Mr. Speaker, last year, when my mother passed away, and she was buried under COVID environment, the same member went to social media and wrote that I buried my mother at night because I didn't want the Deputy President to visit my home. It was so painful for me. It was very hurting. So he keeps on offending people because no action is being taken. I think the time has come, Mr. Speaker, that this House must stamp its feet on the ground. The dignity of this House must be maintained. No member, whatever he is above the standing orders of this House. There are members here who think it's only them who can do things that are right. When others do things, they think they are wrong and they have to be demonized. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to support the Honorable Makari Muli that this member should be named and stern action should be taken against him. I don't want us to forget the words of former President Moi Kibaki, that every marketplace has its own madman. But that madman must be ready for the consequences that befalls madmen. Thank you.
Member for Turkana Central.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I join the rest of honorable members to condemn such kind of acts that our fellow members are castigated this House. Honorable Speaker, as much as we are castigating the other side, remember very well also we are in this House on that day. Some members who are actually castigating other members who are voting no, and they threw some bad words to them. We need to be very careful. We are here because we were elected by our people. And the decision that we make here, Honorable Speaker, we make according to three issues. Number one, the people that elected us. Number two, the country, Kenya, that we love. Because we are here to make laws that will actually govern this country, no matter where you live, as long as this country has law that can govern you wherever you are. And then third, the party, as Honorable Bandi has said. Sometimes we fail to do what the party wants us to do because the leaders of the party does not use persuasive language to make us to vote the way they want. Honorable Speaker, on that day, I remember very well, Honorable Junet threatened me, said, vote the way you vote and you'll see. Honorable Speaker, that kind of language is not a good language for the leader who wants me to follow him. I am elected by the Turkana Central people. I am here representing the Turkana people. labeling people that you belong to this particular gang or you belong to a particular person is very wrong, Honorable Speaker. We are here because people who elected us want us to work on their behalf. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm also appealing that as long as the party sometimes take position, the party also should allow us to democratically vote according to our conscience and also what our people say back at home. Honorable Speaker, on that day when I went to vote, Honorable Junet threatened me with words that I cannot mention before you. And I wish he was here today. He could have actually apologized. But saying that, Honorable Speaker, let's not also kill Kuria, because some accounts can be manipulated and they can use somebody's name. So no, I'm saying as example, how many accounts? I'm not defending him, but I'm saying let's investigate. Let's investigate. I'm not saying, Honorable Kajwang, you are the senior counsel. I'm saying he must have written, but before we condemn him, let's investigate so that we can know is him or somebody has used his account. How many people have used our account? Honorable Speaker, these are the guys who are saying order and are misbehaving in the house. It is my time to speak. When you spoke here, nobody condemned you, so you keep quiet. Yeah. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm saying I am here because I was elected by the people of Turkana Central.
Now you have digressed. You know, there's a problem of being elected from Turkana Central.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you digress. So you just sit now. Go back to Turkana Central. Because now you now moved away from what was being raised. Honorable Jeremiah Kioni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to weigh in on this issue and to thank Honorable Makari Muru for introducing this issue. It is an issue, Mr. Speaker, that should not be let out without punishment. And it is important, Mr. Speaker, just to, without answering the member for Turkana, to say that the person who is being the subject of this debate has not retracted. We haven't heard him say that anybody hacked his account. So you cannot be the one to defend him without, unless he has instructions. And I don't believe he has any instructions from Moses Kuria. Mr. Speaker, schools in this country have mock debates tailored on how we conduct our debates on this floor. So when we do the kind of things that we continue doing, including what was uttered by the member for Kiharu, that's exactly what our young people are going to do out there. Mr. Speaker, for the sake of our children who are looking at us as models, they will come to these houses way after we are gone. We cannot let this to go without punishment. And, Mr. Speaker, these issues have gone far. We have some TV stations that have picked on programs tailored on this kind of a language. So the country is headed the wrong way just because we have given the wrong examples on this floor. I don't want to say, to go the Judy way, but I have been insulted on those national platforms by the same fellas and same members of parliament. My apologies for that word. And we were debating, and I thought I was debating an equal, and all of a sudden, the member of parliament drags in my mother into the debate and insults my mother on a national TV, and my mother is watching. She is 94 years old, and when I get home, she asks me, what is wrong with that member? So these are not things that should be taken casually. It's not even the older days when people are not having access. You know, the access to media information, what you are doing was not the way it was. Even 10th Parliament. Today, anything you do is sent all over. So when a member starts on the floor, Mr. Speaker, and faces the side you are sitting, and he says you are traitors, sellouts, con men. I mean, you wonder, where is this one coming from? I voted because I was sent here by the people of Daragwa. They can call me that. They are the only ones who can tell me that I did something wrong. You, as a member of parliament, you have no mandate to come and pass judgment on me. Of course, we have the party, and we believe the parties also have a way on us. So, Mr. Speaker, for the sake of this country and the young generation, forget about even the dignity of this house, which must be respected. But for the sake of this, our young people, please, Mr. Speaker, allow us to name Moses Kuria and Ndindi Nyoro.
Now, honourable members, I've heard what you've said, but now I just, it's not, I've just looked, I don't know, at least earlier on I had seen the member for Kiharu in the chamber. He comes at least frequent. But the member for Gatundu South, I don't even know. That must have been one of the very few days that he has been in this chamber. In fact, the people of Gatundu perhaps have not known how to use Article 103 of the Constitution. I'm not sure he can't be anywhere near. And now we cannot, you are saying the things we are saying, he is not there to hear. No, at least let's not also appear like we want to work through Twitter as well. Not that we don't. We read what is written in those spaces, but the member is not here. Were he present, we would have given him a chance to say something either in rebuttal or whatever, even if he wants to justify his tweets, so that the House can take a decision one way or other about him and that post. Now he's not present. So the only available avenue, you see, honourable members, and it's okay, if you look at Standing Order 107, it is possible that what you're saying can be done, and then through 108, the naming, and then the consequences in 110. But the member is not present. So we don't want to, you may appear like you don't want to pass those. In many years ago, there's somebody who was given a bond of 500 shillings to keep and maintain peace for 6 months, and the person that same evening was boarding some ship after committing murder in Mombasa. I don't know whether many of you may have read that story, but telling somebody to go and keep peace in the high seas, and where you have no jurisdiction over him. But so here, yes, I can hear what you are saying, but you see, the rules under 108 and under 110 are such that any decision made by yourselves, if you vote to name him, then the sanctions are supposed to apply immediately. So they will apply immediately today, and the member is not here. They will continue tomorrow, continue on Thursday, and the member is still not here. As you know, the Honorable Moses Kuria is not a very frequent attendee of the proceedings of the House. Maybe he attends committees, but suddenly the plenary is not very frequent. Or if he does, then he must be one of those who sits somewhere near the pillars there. You know, I can't be able to see the people who sit behind the pillars. So now, do you take a decision on a person, on a member who is not present? or do we order that he appears here on Thursday at 2:30, so that either he hears what the accusations leveled against him and is given a chance, natural justice, to say whatever he may wish to say in response thereto, so that then the House can take a decision on him when he is present. What? Who? The Honorable Moses Kuria, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. No, we cannot, the House cannot deal with those which are said in TV stations. Honourable members. If I recall what the Honorable Chris Wamalo said, is that they were debating somewhere in some TV station and certain things happened. See, that was in a TV station. You know, and that's the danger of going to these talk shows with some of those members. You need to know where they spend their night, the previous night. Because you could find yourself in engaging with somebody who has some interesting influence. You know? So, tweet. So there is Muhammad Ali, Moses Kuria, and Ndindi Nyoro. The order is that the three should be present, are hereby directed to be present in Parliament on Thursday, 13th at 2:30 p.m. So that at least, in fairness, that everybody be given a chance to be heard. Even them, they have a right. They say even the devil has a right, isn't it? So even them, nobody has condemned them. Let them be here so that they will hear what it is that the other colleagues are saying. But just to caution, what has just been said by the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, Honorable members, you may say what you want to say about your colleague, but remember you are also a member of this same institution. So you call your colleague whatever name, that they are like this or they are like this. The people out there will never know the difference between yourself and that other one. So the damage you cause is not just to your colleague whom you may be pointing an accusing finger at. You are causing greater damage to the institution of Parliament and specifically to the National Assembly. So I think, honourable members, let's just have some element of decorum. Why is it that you are called honourable if you cannot respect your colleague? I mean, just a way to show that you are not actually, you don't deserve that title of honor. So please, let's just treat each other with decorum and fairness. You may not like what somebody, the Honorable Bandi has said or what he says, but please allow him to say it. You also get your chance to say what you want to say, but in a manner that is respectful. So the orders are given that the three, the Honorable Moses Kuria, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, and the Honorable Muhammad Ali of Nyali, be present here in the chamber at 2:30 to hear the accusations leveled against them by their fellow colleagues. I'm trying to look at whether anybody has pressed the intervention button. There is no name on the intervention button. Why are so many interventions? Honorable Anthony Luoch,
Honorable Speaker, I had placed this before, but now that you've given me this chance, I just want to thank you for your wisdom because, Honorable Speaker, we must remember that as offensive as our colleagues may have brought this House is bound by the Constitution, and the right of access to justice is now firmly part of our Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I had the occasion about 7 years ago when the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi was thrown out of the House for gross misconduct. And I'm aware, Honorable Speaker, that this is a power that this House and yourself use very sparingly. And this is one of those incidences in which I think it would be justifiable, but not until they have a right to be heard. And I just wanted to thank you for that wisdom that they get that opportunity. Thank you.
Deputy Whip.
I also wanted to record my thanks to your ruling, Mr. Speaker, and also to remind the historic incident whereby you agree with your colleagues, and what you have agreed, something happens, members can turn against what you have agreed. And then in that fury, you can puke ones like the ones we had here, 1976, when in the House of Commons, when they were calling the Tyson of the Apes, Michael Heseltine agreed on a pairing kind of arrangement during a vote. He was conservative and he had agreed with somebody in the Labour side that he would not participate, he would abstain. Then he did not abstain, and they lost the vote by 1. Out of that anger, there has been an historic incident which he did. He came forward and carried the mace. And that's why he got the nickname of Tyson of the Apes, having lived with some apes somewhere. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is a conduct. If not punished thoroughly, it will bring the entire institution into disrepute, like the way it has been done by one member consistently talking about other members as if he is not one of them, or he knows he is one of them. But he has climbed that tree and he wants it cut. That, Mr. Speaker, we agree with you. They need to be here. They need to be punished. I remember there was a time also we had discussed the same Muhammad Ali, and you are the one who rescued him. Now, since it seems like it is a habitual bad manners, this time I think, Mr. Speaker, we beg you not to let him off the hook, plus the others. Thank you.
Now, this Honorable Sauti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for that ruling. And Mr. Speaker, when I came in, I was a bit irritated. Mr. Speaker, at your age and my age, we have now very big and mature children. And we have been leaders, Mr. Speaker. We have been in this house for quite some time. Since 1997, that's over 20 years. We are men of integrity. But someone to bring us down in a day, it really hurts. Mr. Speaker, I came when I was very angered. That's why you saw me looking on the other side. This is the man, if he was here, maybe you would have seen something different. He cannot keep on scandalizing members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, I agree with your ruling. Because he is not there, there's nothing we can do. But, Mr. Speaker, this is very painful to some of us.
I think, honourable members, let's leave it at that. We'll deal with it on Thursday. Next order.
Order number 8, the Central Bank of Kenya Amendment Bill